Steve Jobs, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, Ted Turner. Success leaves clues, kids. I just named 5 of the greatest names in business in the last 150 years. And they all have one thing in common. They're ball busters. They're hard as nails. Where does that leave you? I still work 50, 60 hours a week. And I haven't had to work in 35 years. You're not willing to do anything. You're not willing to sacrifice anything to be a high-performance person.
I don't want to be like Dad.
No, most people don't.
I want to be liked.
Yeah, well, see, you want to fit in. I'm the only speaker that you're ever going to hear that really, with all his heart, doesn't give a shit. If I leave here you liking me, I did something wrong.
They see 30 seconds. They didn't see 10,000 hours.
Anyone can sail in smooth waters. Anyone can dance when the music is playing.
So is it just a run in the ring? You tell me.
Remind yourself of what that door opening is going to feel like.
So I have dreams. Compulsions to be legendary, evolving from the imaginary, and it's near and it's real. I can see. In due time, we realize that real life is defined by our own eyes. And I have blueprints to the skyline. It's just reality is built methodically. And overnight success, you would never guess, takes a long time. You have to cut lifelines and navigate landmines. But it's your move on your cue. Just decide. So I sat there, thought about it. How long am I gonna go on about it? Put my shoes on, I said so long, and went outside. Right through the field I used to run by, where the rows of sunflowers waist high, but it was different than what I envisioned. There weren't any road signs, or guidelines, or letters that said it's all just fine. It was just me adjusting as I made my way to the sunrise. Then I paused. On the ground below me was a little door. I knocked slowly, was pretty scared, maybe ill-prepared, but we get one life only. So I opened the hatch, looked down, and it's pitch black, no sound. And if you don't choose any road will do. I've been riding logistical merry-go-rounds and my eyes are wide. Restless soul with scores to settle from years ago. I know that there's more cause I told me so. I'm going down the rabbit hole and there's not a way out. The chips fall, I'm all in. Now my prospects are in lockstep and each step is a shakedown. I got a coat of armor, sword of steel, call to arms cause the threat's real. And see, crowns are made on battlefields. So your majesty, no, I will never kneel. Time to face fear right front center. Watch doubts fall like it's November. Got a treasure map in my backpack. It says life's golden. What a pleasure. Been round and round and free falling now. Cause there's ghost schools and there's goblins out. Are you leaving us? They call me treasonous. Think that you're dangerous. You must be delirious. Just then the guns fire and the trumpets start and the ground trembles from the steady march. And it looks bad cause their deck's stacked. But my king beats a queen of hearts. They're trying to win in spades. So I set fires with the kind of flames that forge empires. And like a hurricane, but I'm a tad insane. Cat 5, Cheshire. Right around we go. The next episode under the second story. So look out below. Collect haters' tears that makes a steady flow. And the greatest fear is I told you so. I know it though. There's no impossible. You can watch it pass. You can watch it grow. Be more powerful than you will ever know. I'm going down the rabbit hole.
Be the kind of trader who sees the big picture. The world is changing around you. Global threats push gold, the safe haven asset, to higher prices each and every day. Now's your chance to start trading gold. Just go to capex.com and register to get up to a $5,000 bonus on your first deposit. Simply use GOLD5000 as a promo code and you're good to go. Capex.com proudly welcomes you to the next level trading experience. Register now and start taking full advantage of the new gold rush. Terms and conditions apply. Exposure to gold obtained via contracts for difference, which are leveraged products and incur a high level of risk. Capex.com is operated by JME Financial Services, Pty Ltd, an authorized financial services provider.
exhausted. Had it all figured out and I lost it. They say that's the cost, but it just feels like a lot. Stop, are you going or not? I miss certainty, miss the 9 to 5s, knowing exactly where I need to be and why I'm not built for this. Progress moves in slow motion, they're out making money and getting promotions, saying all the right things, pulling all the right levers, while I sit here, write my future self love letters. Who's winning? Is this the end or beginning? 'Cause I'm starting to feel like reality's slipping, and bank accounts, they aren't very forgiving, and life on edge feels like falling, not living. If effort brings victory, what am I missing? Nothing good comes easy. When we have to, we push through, not knowing completely. You're here because you're made for this next level, taking these places that most people won't. Start embracing it. Who cares what they do? They're not you. You'll go through more now than you think you're supposed to, but that shows you can cope with the highs and the lows, because you rose to be more. Could have run away, could have avoided the thorns, could have been comfortable. Blood, sweat, and tears, they're expendable. No more pretending, man, build something memorable. Don't drink from their cup or by stories they tell, because when all their time's up, you'll have dug your own well. You did it. Use lifelines, you're topped off for a lifetime. So drop all those one-liners, we'll get them next time. No, this time is your time, and whatever you decide will end up being real life. No stop signs, just storylines. This whole thing is a misunderstanding, a miscalculation. Jumped and missed the landing. I'm mystified, I can waste so much time. These ovations are strictly imagination, not standing. So much for planning, guess fate left without me. Those failure statistics, yeah, they'll be about me. Was overly optimistic, forgot the...
Be the kind of trader who sees the big picture. The world is changing around you. Global Threads push gold, the safe haven asset, to higher prices each and every day. Now's your chance to start trading gold. Just go to capex.com and register to get up to a $5,000 bonus on your first deposit. Simply use GOLD5000 as a promo code and you're good to go. Capex.com proudly welcomes you to the next level trading experience. Register now and start taking full advantage of the new gold rush. Terms and conditions apply. Exposure to gold obtained via contracts for difference, which are leveraged products and incur a high level of risk. Capex.com is operated by JME Financial Services Pty Ltd, an authorized financial services provider.
The champ is here! 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 The champ.
Good afternoon and welcome to Bull Market Stock Show. This is your host Rian Hobson, and I do apologize for starting a bit late, but I was actually reading something about Australia and China. Now, this morning news actually came through about China that's banning actually coking coal from Australia, and that was actually a bit weird for me because. Obviously, the trade relationship between Australia and China is actually very good for years now. Now, we need to understand the history also between Australia and China. And obviously, when you see these things happen, then obviously you need to look like, hey, what the hell is wrong? And obviously, that's why you can see that the Australian dollar is actually going down. I think it was down by 0.2%. But that is also a surprise a bit. But on the other side, the New Zealand dollar is up and also the Canadian dollar is up. But normally, when news like this come, the Australian dollar will definitely get affected because of the trade relations between the two. Now, if you look back over Australia, for example, the infrastructure boom in China actually boost all the imports from Australia to China. And that was now the big drive, the industrial boom and the infrastructure boom of China. Obviously, they need to import a lot of iron ore and coal and other sorts of commodities as well. Your meat, your natural gas, also barley, which is good for beer, and also wine. Look, there's a lot of things that actually get imported from Australia. Obviously, if you look at where Australia is situated and China, that is very close to each other. So obviously, China needs all that minerals from Australia to do their manufacturing and also their infrastructure boom. So if China, in simple terms, if China is doing well, Australia is doing well, that we could see actually this morning. Now, there was a bit of a mixed reaction of the market. There was good news coming through out of China this morning about the imports actually rose by 13.3%, which is a very good number, 13.3%, which is actually the highest for a very long time. 13.3%. So that gives actually the New Zealand dollar a bit of a boost, and also basically all other commodities also a bit of a boost, but not for Australia. The thing is, the bad news for Australia was the ban of this coking coal that the Chinese normally has. And also there was some other article that I just read now that these vessels are standing at the harbor of China now for months now. And it looks like China wants to ban this indefinite. Now, they just actually communicate verbally that they will not take these products, which is definitely not good for Australia. But there's a whole mixed bag that is actually going on here. First, the Prime Minister came into power in Australia. He's more of a conservative capitalist and more in favor of Donald Trump in the United States. And that is where how it's literally say the shit was hitting the fan from there. Because basically the conservatives are more your capitalist driven and obviously win the elections, and the Chinese did not like it, obviously not. And then the story came in where the whole COVID story started to erupt. And then the Prime Minister of Australia was saying, hey, listen here, we need to go investigate what is the origin of the coronavirus, or where did it start, and all of those things. So that is where the trade tension started to happen. It was because of the Prime Minister of Australia that said that there needs to be investigation, or medical teams needs to go into China to go and investigate what the hell is up with this COVID story. Now, the Chinese didn't like it because obviously Donald Trump was talking that language about they need to send people in to go and look. The Europeans was talking it. The Africans just kept quiet. They didn't even mention anything regarding investigation in China. They just shut up because they know who are their daddy. That is the Chinese. The new colonizers of Africa is actually the Chinese. Now, the Australians was talking tough with China by saying, hey, we need to now get some doctors in there and see what the hell is going on. After that, a flurry of bans came in. The first one was the barley imports that got a massive tariff. Then afterwards, then it was the meat. The bad thing about the meat is that one of the abattoirs in Australia is actually owned by China. Now that is for me crazy. So they banned their own people from basically exporting stuff to China. That's a bit crazy. But anyway, they banned actually the meat from Australia. And then afterwards it came to the wine. I mean, it just getting worse and worse. And now we're sitting today with the coal. That is all because of Australia now saying, listen here, we need to investigate what is going on. And now the Chinese feel that they can bully Australia. Now, I must say, the deal between Australia and China is been very fruitful over the years. I mean, it actually risen to about $100 billion of trade each and every year. Some years was a bit low because there was problems in China, stock market was collapsing and all of those things. But all in all, the deal between between China and Australia is being very fruitful. Even Chinese people are going to Australia for education and all these other services. Also, services from Australia goes to China as well. So the deal between the two is enormous, and that's why when Chinese economy is going up, or any good news like today, good news coming out of China, it normally lifts up the Australian dollar automatically. The Chinese stock market is up, Chinese economy is up. Definitely you will see that result in the Australian dollar. Now, I must say the Australian dollar has been my favorite currency. Australia, New Zealand, and Canada has always been my favorite currency because it's very easy to trade with them. You just look at China and then you see the effects of them. That's why I always choose those three. I don't like to make things complicated, unnecessary to look at the Japanese yen. Yeah, obviously I need to look at the Japanese yen because obviously I have to do the podcasting. But honestly speaking, the euro, the British, I'm not so interested in that. I normally like Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, the US dollar. Done and dusted. There's my trading. I'm done. I don't look at the euro. Yeah, obviously I look at the euro, but I will not trade with it. The British pound, I basically don't care what the hell is going on there. I will read about Boris Johnson and all this new restrictions that he's enforcing. Obviously, I need to keep myself up to date. But normal terms, I will just trade with Australia, New Zealand, and Canada, and with the US dollar. Done. Make my life easy. I understand them. I know how they behave, and I know the big daddy is actually China. Now, the trade relations between the two, Australia and China, is being very fruitful over the years. Even with all this mess that is actually now starting to happen between Australia and China, obviously the South Asia Seas is also a problem. The Australian government actually started to buy some serious military equipment. That was announced also this year. Because I think they start to feel that something is about to brew. And if China continues with this bullying tactics, and it is not just Australia that suffer from the Chinese bullying. There's other countries like the Philippines, the Japanese, Vietnam. These Chinese are just going out of their minds. They're building fake islands in the middle of the South Asia Seas to control that whole entire stretch there. They say they own 90% of that stretch. The Chinese is really going out of their minds. And now they want to bully Australia just because Australia was standing up against them and say, we need to investigate what is going on with this COVID thing. I mean, what can be so bad about that? By saying, listen, let's go investigate what is this whole story. And let's make sure so that we can understand what is this virus about. I mean, that was very good statement from Australia. But according to the Chinese, that was bad. And if you talk bad against the Chinese, you will definitely get some tariffs and also some ban. And that is exactly what we saw this morning with the ban of the cooking oil, of the cooking coal, that China actually literally said that you guys are banned from exporting these commodities. And they made some story up that they are looking now at greener energy. I mean, there's over 1 billion people there. They are now all of a sudden gonna go green now. And the Chinese are talking absolutely nonsense. But there's more to the story. The trade relationship between the two is really getting nasty, but there's also a twist in the data. I will just take a short break and then I'll be back with you with some more information with the Australian dollar and the tensions between Australia and China.
The champ is here! 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 The champ is here!
Greatness is not this wonderful, esoteric, elusive, God-like feature that only the special among us will ever taste. You know, it's something that truly exists in all of us. It's very simple. This is what I believe, and I'm willing to die for it. Yeah. Period.
I came from the bottom, but I'm coming to the top. Like some test of your will, how much faith do you got? Your foot's on the line, will you ever take a shot and score the game? Winning points when it's zeros to clock. I've came to find that life's a test, there's no cheating either. Just work and stress, if no money's provided, you're eating less. Bills on the table and pain in your chest. You promise you'll pay for the things that you can't. You want the whole world, but it's burning in your hands. You ask for help, no one hears you in the stands. A crowd full of friends you can never call fam. They love you then, but they don't love you now. Your whole life seems to be crashing down. You never feel safe when there's no one around. So if you feel like giving up, you gotta stand your ground. No one else can ever try to tell you otherwise. So stop trying to be just like them other guys. Fake the haters who live in to see you feeling like, and fuck the coaches who judge it cause of shape and size. If you ever wanna make it, you gotta show effort and show dedication and crave it like basically nothing else matters but getting that paper and that education. Just take it from me. I ain't doing this shit. The rap with a mouth full of gold teeth. That'll show the whole world that my chain ain't Zoe. Just let the world know I'm an OG. No, I do this for my fam, for my city, and for me. Cause honestly, I throw a middle finger up to those who don't. So when you want it, get it, don't ever give up. You got it, you wanna make it, then chase it. No one can stop you. Stop you, they're gonna hate you, but let them hate you. That's fine, cause if they stand in your way, then you gotta leave them behind. But if you want it, get it, don't ever give up. You got it, you wanna make it, then chase it. No one can stop you, they're gonna hate you, but let them hate you. That's fine, cause if they stand in your way, then you gotta leave them behind. People will always try to bring you down, but that's a part of life. Imaginary action when they see your name up in the lights. Ignore the gossip and nonsense you're hearing on the daily, cause if it gets to your head, then you'll only end up failing. Just be the best that you can. Only those who love you will be there in the end. Stick with those in your defense and leave alone your phony friends. Stay on track, don't fall behind. Either chase your goals or fall in line. Bullshitting's only a waste of your time, so go with your gut and stay on your grind. I wanna wake up the world. Someone's gotta hear my message. This is food for your thought. Take it as easy ingestion. I won't leave you in question, just a lasting impression. I'm trying to speak the truth, so take heed to my lessons. This is honestly the most honest things I've said in a while. In life you'll always be judged, eternal circles of trials. Just keep your head up and never ever fall to denial. You're finally on the clock, meaning your time is now. You want it, get it, don't ever give up. You got it, you wanna make it, then chase it. No one can stop you, they're gonna hate you, but let them hate you. That's fine, cause if they stand in your way, then you gotta leave them behind. But if you want it, get it, don't ever give up. You got it, you wanna make it, then chase it. No one can stop you, they're gonna hate you, but let them hate you. That's fine, cause if they stand in your way, then you gotta leave them behind.
Getting your business funded is a lengthy process with the banks, and it can take weeks before getting an answer. ProfitFX works with the best in the finance industry to bring you an unrivaled business funding solution for South African businesses. Our funding partners have funded millions in the last year in support of growing your business and our economy. Get in touch with your talk show host to request more information. A trade history of 3 years or more and an annual turnover of 1 million rand or more is required. Terms and conditions apply.
The champ is here! 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 The champ is here!
Good afternoon and welcome to Bull Market Stock Show. This is your host Rian Hobson, and we're still doing the trade war between Australia and China. Now, as I said to you, there's a very, very good relationship between actually Australia's biggest partner, biggest trading partner is actually China. Now, obviously, any bad news from China, then it will hit Australia extremely hard. Now, also New Zealand also play a part. They also export quite a lot of things to China. And obviously, because China is still heavy industrialized, if the imports of China improves, then normally you have a strength in the rand, strength in New Zealand, Australia, and then also in Canada. And so a strong China is extremely good for Australia. Now, obviously, with this whole COVID story, there was a bit. Obviously, all commodity currencies actually went down because of the trade tensions between. Not the trade tensions, but the tensions between Australia, actually the whole world against China because of this whole COVID thingy. So there was a bit of a downside with the Australian dollar, and then we will see a sharp reversal of the Australian dollar actually going up. But that is now when China is now opened up the economy, and obviously things are starting to get back to normal, and obviously industrial process started to improve, and you could see in the PMI numbers from China that every month, I actually been looking at China's data, every month there's an improvement in the PMI, especially in the manufacturing sector, and that normally drives the Australian and New Zealand dollar down. Now, there's always this confusion that goes on. If the Australian statistics, the country statistics come out slightly a bit bad, but China's news come out strong, then normally the Australian dollar will pick up. I always have traders that ask me which news is important, the Chinese news or the actual Australian news. Unless something really terrible happens in Australia, then I would say, okay, you need to take that in consideration. Maybe a earthquake, a heavy earthquake, or something bad needs to happen with Australia. But if China's news come out strong, even though the Australians can have some bad economic data, that economic data will be overshadowed by China's good data. That's how powerful that trade relationship is between Australia and China. The same applies to New Zealand as well. Even bad news out of New Zealand, they always get that boost from good economic data that comes from China. Excuse me. Sorry guys, I'm still battling with a bit of a flu. But the Chinese data is a very, very important indicator for the Australian dollar, and you must never forget it, especially when you trade your currencies, especially my favorite, which is the Australian dollar. Now, the last 5 years or so, I would say the last 8 years or so, the Chinese economy did slow down. The infrastructure boom actually came to an end. As we all know, that news is still under the radar, that there's about 1 million condos that stand open in China. I don't know if it's true, but that is all the videos on YouTube. They're actually showing that all those condos are just standing open. And obviously, the construction companies are not doing so well anymore in China because they overbuilt everything basically in China. Even in my book, The Ultimate Depression, I did say that there will be, the big crash will come from China. But somehow China still survives. And obviously they have a lot of reserves, so they can still keep the momentum on. But the question is for how long they're going to do it. But the Chinese infrastructure boom, basically, it's done and dusted in China. Also the industrial boom, because China's story now is that they need to move from away from the industrialization, and they need to move now to a service economy, which is more based on retail sales, banking, and those type of things, services economy, hospitality, and that is actually where the Chinese economy is going now, and they basically starting to get away from the industrial side. Maybe that's why the Chinese people are here in Africa to try and develop Africa, but Africa is a different story. But trying to develop Africa and basically export goods from Africa to China, because the industrial era is actually done in China, and they need to look for other places. All that heavy industrialist people can move now to Africa and develop here and send the finished products to China, because China will become more of a consumption economy and no longer just an exporting economy as they move away from industrialization. Now, at some point, the Australian economy need to change. You could actually see in the last 5 years that the Australian dollar is actually going down against the US dollar, which is the best one to look at, because of the slowdown in China. The slowdown in China, because at some stage, if you look at it, the Australian dollar was actually equal to the US dollar. I think it was about in 2012, there around. Because the Chinese economy still had the industrial way of doing it. But if you look here from 2014, you will see actually how the Australian dollar is going down because of the slowdown in China, and that is actually the problem with Australia. The moment the Chinese are slowing down, then you get a slowdown in economic activity in Australia as well, because Australia is so dependent on China, and Australia needs to move away from that, because otherwise you will just be a puppet the whole time for the Chinese. And now when Australia really wants to show some muscle, they got slapped now with a ban and also with some heavy tariffs on their barley. Now this could lead to a flurry of bans and tariffs towards Australia. Now this one was verbally today, but there is a big concern, because coal and iron ore, diamonds, natural gas, the heavy commodities, is still the biggest exporter for Australia to China. And if they start now to temper with the coal, next thing it will be the iron ore. The next thing it will be the natural gas. Then we're sitting with then Australia will sit with one hell of a problem, because they are so over-reliant on China. Excuse me. So the best thing is now is to move for Australia. The best thing is to move away from this dependence on China and literally start to stand on their own feet. Because the thing is, China it's literally going nuts there in the South Asia Seas, bullying everybody. And now countries are standing up against China, and the things will get worse. And also you have Donald Trump that's talking tough against China, and also Japan, Philippines, the Vietnam, they all are talking tough against China. So at some point, Australia needs to move away. It will not be easy, but they need to move away from this dependence on China. But there's a twist in the data which literally knocked me up a bit upside down. I actually personally think that this, some sort of a correction in the Australian dollar, where it's just slightly going down, will not last long. I think the Australian dollar will definitely tomorrow move in the right direction upwards, because the data suggests totally something else. And that's why I have the title, Is It Really a Trade War? Because even with a trade war between China and the United States, the data suggests Australia was not so heavy affected. Maybe some sort of Australian businesses was affected. But if you look at the export statistics to China, it looks fairly consistent. And in fact, it looks actually better than the previous years. So what the hell is going on? They say one thing, but if you look at economic data, it's totally the opposite. When I looked at the data, it looked like Australia have still some legs to go, unless Donald Trump and Joe Biden is going into a messy story. But as things stand, it looks like the Australian dollar is on a good track. And I will just take a short break, and then I will come back with you with this economic data from Australia and China, or basically the trade relationship between the two. But it's totally the opposite of what has been said in the media or in publications. It's totally the opposite. Data shows a different picture. And I don't understand, how is this possible? I will share that information with you after the break.
The champ is here! 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 The champ.
They see 30 seconds. They didn't see 10,000 hours.
Anyone can sail in smooth waters. Anyone can dance when the music is playing.
So is it just a run in the rain? You tell me.
Remind yourself of what that door opening is going to feel like.
So I have dreams. Compulsions to be legendary, evolving from the imaginary, and it's near and it's real. I can see. In due time, we realize that real life is defined by our own eyes. And I have blueprints to the skyline. It's just reality is built methodically. And overnight success, you would never guess, takes a long time. You have to cut lifelines and navigate landmines, but it's your move on your cue, just decide. So I sat there, thought about it. How long am I gonna go on about it? Put my shoes on, I said so long, and went outside. Right through the field I used to run by, where the rows of sunflowers waist high, but it was different than what I envisioned. There weren't any road signs or guidelines or letters that said it's all just fine. It was just me adjusting as I made my way to the sunrise. Then I paused. On the ground below me was a little door. I knocked slowly, was pretty scared, maybe ill-prepared, but we get one life only. So I opened the hatch, looked down, and it's pitch black, no sound. And if you don't choose any road will do. I've been riding logistical merry-go-rounds and my eyes are wide. Restless soul with scores to settle from years ago. I know that there's more cause I told me so. I'm going down the rabbit hole and there's not a way out. The chips fall, I'm all in. Now my prospects are in lockstep and each step is a shakedown. I got a coat of armor, sword of steel, call to arms cause the threat's real. And see, crowns are made on battlefields. So your majesty, no, I will never kneel. Time to face fear, right front center. Watch doubts fall like it's November. Got a treasure map in my backpack. It says life's golden. What a pleasure. Been round and round and free falling now. Cause there's ghost schools and there's goblins out there. You're leaving us, they call me treasonous. Think that you're dangerous, you must be delirious. Just send the guns fire and the trumpets start and the ground trembles from the steady march. And it looks bad cause their deck's stacked. But my king beats a queen of hearts. They're trying to win in spades, so I set fires with the kind of flames that forge empires. And like a hurricane, but I'm a tad insane. Cat 5, Cheshire. Right around we go, the next episode under the second story. So look out below, collect haters' tears that makes a steady flow. And the greatest fear is I told you so. I know it though, there's no impossible. You can watch your past, you can watch it grow. Be more powerful than you will ever know. I'm going down the rabbit hole.
Be the kind of trader who sees the big picture. The world is changing around you. Global threats push gold, the safe haven asset, to higher prices each and every day. Now's your chance to start trading gold. Just go to capex.com and register to get up to a $5,000 bonus on your first deposit. Simply use GOLD5000 as a promo code and you're good to go. Capex.com proudly welcomes you to the next level trading experience. Register now and start taking full advantage of the new gold rush. Terms and conditions apply. Exposure to gold obtained via contracts for difference, which are leveraged products and incur a high level of risk. Capex.com is operated by JME Financial Services, Pty Ltd, an authorized financial services provider.
Good afternoon and welcome to Boom Market Stock Show. This is your host Rian Hobson and we're doing actually Australia and China. The biggest trading partner of Australia is actually China. Now, normally about 30% or more than 30% of Australian exports are actually going directly to China, so which is a massive amount. As I said earlier, about approximately $100 billion US dollars annually goes actually to Australia. China is actually buying all these commodities and meat and all of the dairy. It's a lot of things that actually go to actually China. I will not be surprised if there's a few kangaroos also in those exports. But something weird actually is in the data. Although there's trade tensions between China and the United States, and now there's tensions between China and Australia, the data suggests totally something else. Now, the trade war between China and the United States started around I think it was 2016, when the US was starting to talk a bit tough against the Chinese with the trade and all of those things. Now, according to the stats and according to Trading Economics, this was just in 2019. The goods that were exported to China was an average of about over 100 billion, where you have commodities, and not specific according to the kind, was about 14 billion. You have mineral fuels and oil was about 10 billion. Meat was about 3 billion. Pearls and precious stones, metals and coins was about 2 billion. Wool, animal hair, horse hair, all those things, and fabric at 1.7. Copper was at 1 billion. Wood and articles of wood and charcoal was at 1 billion. Pharmaceutical was at close to 1 billion. You have salt, plastic, cement, also close to about a billion. This was now in 2019, and that actually came to the total of about 100 billion. 2018 was actually a not so bad year, was over, say, close to about 90 billion. 2017, it was about 70 billion. 2016, it was just over 60 billion. Now, if you look where the trade war started between the United States and China, in 2016, that is where Donald Trump, I think around there, the end of 2016, I think November, that is where Donald Trump was winning the elections. But the thing is, the trend was already downwards. If you look at those exports, Australia exports to China. In 2013, there was over 80 billion that was exported to China. This is now from Australia to China. In 2014, it was down. It was slightly below the 90 billion. It was about just over 80 billion. 2015, it was about 60 billion. And then 2016, that is where Trump was winning the election. It was basically the same with about 60 billion. So you could see the trend already was pointing downwards. Now, when the trade war was starting to escalate, that was now in 2017, the numbers actually improved to 70 billion, from 60 billion to over 70 billion, close to 80 billion. 2018, it was over 80 billion. And 2019, it was over 100 billion. So now you have to ask yourself, does this trade wars work? Because automatically, if you look at Australia in this whole component with the United States and China, the Australians are exporting raw material to China. So China needs to manufacture this raw material, make it into final products, and export it to the United States. Now, if the United States enforce tariffs and bans and all of those things, then it means China needs to produce less, and then it means they need to import less from Australia. But the data doesn't suggest that. The data suggests that even with all these tensions, the Chinese were still importing a lot of stuff from Australia and exporting still the same amount to the United States. That is what the data is saying. Trading Economics look at Australia's exports to China. The graph shows upwards. From 2016, it was 60 billion. 2017, it was over 70 billion, close to 80 billion. 2018, it was over 80 billion, close to 90 billion. And then in 2019, it was over 100 billion. The chart is showing upwards. Now, does this nonsense of trade wars actually pays off? Because automatically you would think that the US is now putting tariffs on, China will produce less will get imported from Australia, but the data suggests totally the opposite. Now, although the Chinese economy was feeling the effects of the trade war because China's GDP did decline, The exports, which is for me more important because that affects Australia, nothing actually happened. There was actually improvement. Where the Chinese is getting the money from to buy all these things from Australia, I don't know. But my main focus is the exports are still moving to China. Now, the irony of this whole entire messed up story, the tariffs and the bans of product from China to Australia started this year when the Prime Minister of Australia was saying, hey, there needs to be doctors, the people needs to go in and investigate this whole COVID thing. Then the barley was slapped with the heavy tariffs. I think it was around June there it started. Barley was first hit with tariffs, then the meat with this, I think it was 5 abattoirs, was literally banned from China because apparently there's something wrong with the meat all of a sudden. But that was absolutely nonsense. And then the wine was the other story that also got some tariffs. And then, now we have the coal story. Now, if you look at the data that's coming out of China, or not much China, but if you look at the data that comes out of Australia, it shows totally the opposite. There's tariffs and bans and all of those things, but the data shows there's actually a faster, a way bigger upward trend of exports from Australia to China. The current, we are now in October. The number stands already over 100 billion. The year is not even finished yet. In fact, in the first 7 months, this is from the data from Australia. In the first 7 months of this year, data says that 84 billion of the value of these goods came to about 84 billion in the first 7 months that was exported from Australia to China. First 7 months. So which means this year will even be better than all these years combined. So which means about 12 billion, or the Chinese are spending about 12 billion on importing stuff from Australia every single month for that first 7 years, even with a lockdown. Even with all the bans and tariffs and all of this nonsense. And that's why the Australian dollar, that's why the Australian dollar is moving up, and it actually bothers the Reserve Bank of Australia. But as the data suggests, the Australian dollar is doing well because China is buying more stuff from Australia. Now, it's not that the Chinese economy is really performing well. I must say the Chinese government is open up the taps for their people to buy these products from Australia. Now, as it stands in the first 7 months, normally we will get about 34% year-on-year trade between Australia and China. Now, this year alone, it's already sitting on 38%. We will see over 40% in no time as things stands now. Now, what the hell is going on? Personally, I don't know. But the data suggests that China is buying more from Australia. That's why the Australian dollar, for me personally, that 0.2% that Australia is down today, that means nothing. Believe me, tomorrow, that currency will just go up again against the US dollar. Unless something weird is happening with Donald Trump and the US election with Joe Biden. But as things stand, that ban on coal means, it's a bit of a scare, I must say, but barley there was tariffs on barley, there was ban on meat and all of those things, but still the stuff is getting bought from Australia. In fact, it's even better. So whatever is said on the news is basically not true. I don't know, are they playing games or what? But what the data is saying is that things are flourishing between Australia and China. That is the whole entire irony, or I would say the the big F story among everything. Because you would expect, with all these heavy words from Australia and China and blah, 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 and the South Asia Seas and the trade war between Donald Trump and China, you would suggest that that the data would look extremely messy. But believe me, it is far better. In fact, you know what? This year's data looks so good. It actually will be the best data in over a decade. That is actually how good this data look like. So what the media is saying and what the data is suggesting is not the same thing. In fact, as I look now, if I push out the chart now, the highest export value or exports to China was at about 80 billion. That was around about 2013. Yeah, so I mean 2019, 2019 and 2013 were close to each other. Now we're sitting with 100 billion, or actually 2018 and 2013 were sitting close to each other. The 100 billion of 2019 is actually far better than all these years. And this year, with lockdown and COVID and trade tensions and elections and all of these things, the Australian economy is actually doing well by exporting stuff to China. So will those dollar goes down? I don't think so. I think it's just a small correction. Maybe the uncertainty of Donald Trump, maybe that will have an effect. But as things stand, it looks like the Australian dollar is in good shape actually to go further up due to, I don't know if it's due to the tensions, but due to the data, Australian dollar has still have legs to go. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show, but that is it from my side for today. So keep your eye on the Australian dollar, and as things stands with China, it looks like they love the Aussie products. That's it from my side. Have a lovely Tuesday, and then I will see you guys tomorrow at the same time at 1 o'clock. Bye.